Nite with Kendra Dawsey. And here's your host, Kendra Dawsey.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, fantastic.
How are you doing this week, Zach?
You know, things don't ever change, which is great these days. Every week is the same as the last week. So,
yeah, you're so right.
Since they're always so good,
days, and I just accepted it to be fact.
Yeah, but I'm sure we can find some stuff to complain about because it's pretty much our show, right?
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right. There's a lot to complain about this week. I could tell you that. All right. So I know we've had a lot of fun on this show, but I want to take the opportunity to talk about something a little bit more serious than making fun of Mitch McConnell's decaying corpse. So what we're going to talk about this week is actually India. India is a country that, much like the United States, is known for being a democracy, but has a few too many hate crimes to be a functioning one. Since the election of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Bharatiya Janata Party has stoked tensions within the country of 1.3 billion people, leading to a consolidation of religiously motivated right-wing power within the government. Sound familiar? India is in the news this week, not because of government power, but because of people power. The biggest protests in the world's history are happening as thousands of farmers march towards the nation's capital of Delhi, and 250 million people, that is 250 million people, participated in a 24-hour general strike. The reason behind all of this mass action is a series of proposed legislation that's supposed to allow farmers access to bigger markets, but will actually allow agricultural business firms and corporations to exploit small-time farmers and remove protections like mandatory government purchases of wheat and rice. Agriculture in India isn't quite like how it is here. The agricultural sector employs almost 50% of the workforce, and they are responsible for feeding 1.3 billion people. However, due to climate change, lingering feudalism, and a shift towards deregulation and privatization, farmers in India have been suffering for quite some time. Their economic instability was only exacerbated by an upcoming recession in Narendra Modi's government. The farmers, predominantly from states with a large agricultural background like Haryana and Punjab, are demanding a full retraction of the harmful laws that recently passed. And their peaceful protest has been met with retaliation from police personnel in the form of tear gas and water cannons, which sounds a little too familiar to me. Here at Left Nite, as people who try to view the world through a socialist lens, internationalism is very important to us. And what that means is we believe that we need to overcome nationalist boundaries and support workers no matter where they are in society. Although the differences between the US and in India are stark, anyone in the US living paycheck to paycheck or out of work due to the ongoing pandemic probably has more in common with an Indian farmer than either of the people running our countries. And so, in defense of livelihood and against the pandemic of neoliberalism, we support the Bharat Bandh. But don't take our word for it. Learn about it yourself. Hear from farmers in India. Search on Twitter and see what ways you could support from your own home. And so we say Kisan Ekta Zindabad. And we'll be back after this brief commercial break.
Hi everyone, this is a message from God. Yes, I am a Black woman. Thank you. This is my Harvard degree because I'm smart. Anyway, I'm just letting all of you know that I made the coronavirus so you would all stay your asses at home. I am tired. A bitch is tired. I'm shutting down this simulation. This Sims game has been going way too long. It was fun at first, but then you kept fucking up the environment, so I'm just tired of y'all, honestly. Y'all really started fucking up when you decided on animal husbandry. What the fuck is that? Anyway, this is just a PSA. If you were good, I'll see you in heaven in a little bit. If you were bad, if you were like Dick Cheney, you're going in hell. Getting a pineapple shoved up your ass.
All right. Wow, that was a great message from a mysterious, omnipotent being.
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, it's good to get. I knew we were getting some real quality sponsors, but I don't know how we're gonna God is as bad as good as it gets, I think.
I feel like you're right. Wow, God really does hate the banks, and she's on the side of socialism. Amazing.
Really. So we're going to go into the riff section. Do we have an actual name for the riff section of our show, or because we?
Oh, I thought the name was the riff section where we just riff. We just like talk about stuff.
So yeah, we're sort of going to go around the topics of this week's news. Those of you in the chat tonight, if there's something you think we need to cover on tonight's show, please leave it in the comments, and we will try our best to get to everything that our adoring fans want to hear about. So let's see. Let's start off. First, we have a lot going on in Congress right now. There's a stimulus that maybe is happening.
Who knows? It might. They're like, maybe we'll give you $600, or maybe we'll just let more companies off the hook. Who knows? Bernie Sanders is trying to get that $1,200 stimmy check happening, and everyone's like, why do people need money? Mm-hmm. So who knows what will happen? Might just rob a bank. Who knows? Right.
Well, you could, if you want to know where the money is going, it is in fact going to businesses and probably banks as well. Yeah. So I mean that it's as the old J.G. Wentworth commercial would say, it's your money, use it when you need it.
Yes, you're definitely right. It has been pretty embarrassing, and even also what Biden's rhetoric around coronavirus is we'll make everyone wear masks, and it's come on, more needs to be done than that. Okay, glad we could agree masks are important, but how do we get people to stay home? You should probably give them money so they're able to afford rent, very basic things.
Yeah. I saw what I thought was a truly bonkers statement today, which was somebody saying that the Democrats cannot support a stimulus check because it will hurt them in the Georgia runoffs for the Senate.
Really? Why?
Because if you spend enough time in K Street lobby meetings and McKinsey think tank, consulting hours, if your brain just gets turned to mush enough, you start to believe that poor people are poor because they don't want to have money.
I think that might be accurate. Yeah, that's really frustrating. I also feel Georgia is more complex than there's just a lot of Republican white people. It's obviously diverse. And mm-hmm. I think there's also, there's more going on than just in addition to the voting suppression and the many things that have been done to try to overcome that, it's more diverse than just Republicans who don't want money, there's more going on there. Right. But good luck to them.
I just think people want money.
I agree.
I
feel that's them. Generally a true thing, honestly.
Oh man. So, well, speaking of Congress and what's going on there, or I guess the Senate in specific, there was a report that came out last night about Dianne Feinstein.
I saw that.
Has some sort of debilitating mental disorder, either Alzheimer's or dementia. I'm not sure. But there are stories about her staffers having to brief her on things they briefed her on only hours earlier, and she's 87, and
that's old. That's no ageism, but that's old. The body, it does start breaking down. It
right.
Yeah, what's wild to me is that if I'm I have ADD and sometimes I take a medication prescribed to me, I feel that ruins my chances of being in government. But there have been she's maybe the third or fourth politician that where people are oh, she might have dementia, but we need to be nice to her. She's considered more fit to rule than me because I have ADD and I am gay, it's just
right.
But she had a good run. I don't see.
Yeah. And I think that, it's been very clear that even it without dementia, like Feinstein has clearly lost her sort of relationship to her constituents. She just was ill prepared for the Amy Coney Barrett hearings. She did not handle that very well. She lobbed softballs and then hugged Lindsey Graham afterwards. There was the famous movement or moment with the Sunrise Movement children who came in her office, and she was just extremely mean to them.
Yeah.
And people have been saying like, oh, this is further proof that we need an age limit for people to be senators or Congress people. And it's like, maybe, but also somebody who is that disassociated both mentally and politically from their constituents shouldn't keep winning these elections. That's like the root of the issue is so much deeper. If somebody like that is able to hold power for that long while not actually representing anybody, the solution is not a slightly younger person who still doesn't have a connection to their constituents.
Yeah. So we have Josa Lojo, I hope I'm saying that right, in the chat, suggested term limits. That might, I think that might help the problem of just like someone being in Congress for 20 years and then just getting bored and being like, okay, I'm going to wait for someone to, pay me a lot of money and like pass this dumb bill.
Yeah. I mean, and I can disagree with this commenter because it is my mom. But
Isaac's mom.
Yes, great lady. I disagree with this, and I've heard other people say it this way, that we do have term limits. They're called elections. So people who are not fit to serve, theoretically, an election is when you get those people out of office.
Yeah.
And people have. And I can't remember who talked about this. I wish I could cite the right person, but somebody made the point that as things are set up without term limits, people who are coming into any sort of legislative body look to the people who have been there for the longest time to get their sort of to know how everything works and how they should act. Now, if you start implementing term limits where people are then in and out, like they don't stick around for a while, then the senior people that are around that you're going to look to for advice become lobbyists because they will just stick around forever.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we have some comments. Kit Tempest says an election isn't a term limit when people are able to become lifetime politicians. That's true. The Supreme Court, it seems like not a great, seems like not the best thing that we have in the U.S. government, and we have a lot of not great things.
Right. That's not rank them all. I think. So I definitely agree with your, ideally elections should be term limits. And the way, there is, as we say frequently on the show, money does kind of rule the world. And there are a lot of lobbyists who will give a lot of money to a politician to ensure that they're able to win votes in various ways. So lobbying, in a better world, elections would be better for that. But now we do have so much influence from people who are able to give $1 million to Dianne Feinstein, who shouts at children, Right. And it's much more sort of politically palatable for somebody to suggest something like term limits as opposed to kill the lobbyists.
Yes. Get rid of lobbyists, whatever way.
Not literally, just end the jobs.
Just end. Well, yeah, that's a job that's probably fucked over more than has helped. Lobbyists seem bad. What's the street where they all work on when they're out of government? K Street. Sucks. Fuck them. Fuck K Street.
Speaking of lobbyists, Biden's cabinet.
Oh yeah, there's lots of lobbyists.
Do you like that transition?
I've been so hopeless about the future, even with Biden in office, that I'm just I just figured that they would all suck. And I'm getting some reports that they are. I haven't been following, but he got like a diverse Raytheon exec on the. Is that true?
Right. The Department of Defense. I believe it's the Department of Defense secretary is going to be a guy who is on the board for Raytheon, and was in charge of like. I can't remember the name of the title, but under the Obama administration, he was like in charge of the Pentagon for stuff in Africa.
Yeah. Nothing I love more than gender-neutral drone bombs, of course.
Yeah.
And surveillance.
Yeah.
Now the government will just know if you're non-binary because they're spying on you all the time. Amazing.
Right. And Neera Tanden is in there too, which is very, very funny.
Yeah, she I think I made fun of her on Twitter and she blocked me. I think that's what happened.
I thought for sure she would have blocked me by now, and I was sad to say that, to my knowledge, nobody in Biden's cabinet has blocked me.
Man, we need to get on that. Let's tweet the show at them. Let's try to get blocked.
Yes.
Sean King has blocked me, and I will not rest until someone from Biden's cabinet blocks me. I want.
Who'd you say has blocked you?
Sean King. I think
King?
I called him Talcum X somewhere, and then.
Okay. Yep. Very classic. I've got a few good blocks. I think my favorite is Matthew Stoller, who's like one of these like just awful guys who's always talking foreign policy and stuff on Twitter. And he blocked me because he said that young people would actually prefer Jeffersonian democracy to Marxism. And I responded, Thomas Jefferson can eat my ass. and he blocked me for that.
All right, that should be the one of our show slogans. Thomas Jefferson could eat our asses. I think that's pretty good. That works.
Yeah. And not in like a good way.
Yeah, no, like not like millennials, hey, you eat ass, like no, like
yes.
Like vulgarly.
Right.
Just a mouthful of my ass. He chokes on it.
It's more about him feeling bad about it than me feeling good about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. We can also talk about I don't know if you saw this, but Time magazine has narrowed it down to 4 people as the possible person of the year.
Why are they dragging it out? Like, come on. This year has been so shitty. Like, why are they taking advantage of the fact that we're all like, most of us are either stuck in shitty jobs where we have to interact with people or on our couches and just dragging on the person of the year. Just like we know you're going to choose like the 2020 version of Hitler. Like, shut up and just get it over with.
It's only within like the last decade that they started doing like a nominees list, like they're the Grammys or something.
Oh yeah.
But
the Grammys also suck. Like, why are we doing this? Just
so it's narrowed down to 4 right now.
Who are the 4?
All right. So we got Joey Bides. Hasn't done anything yet. I don't know about that one though. That one. We got Donnie T. Dr. Fauci and the frontline healthcare workers.
Okay.
Which and this is the thing that they also love to do is they like to finagle it and like have that's not a person, that is multiple.
That's
people.
Many people.
And then even more abstract, the movement for racial justice.
Fuck off.
Which is not a person.
It's not a person.
Yes.
That is not a person. I feel like out of all those choices, Dr. Fauci and frontline workers makes the most sense.
Yeah.
It's interesting that I guess Dr. Fauci is probably the least annoying person in government right now, or like among the least. But like, are they, what will Time do things to help frontline workers? Are they in a position to do that? Will they actually, like what action is going to be taken other than like, thanks for like taking care of people who don't believe in COVID when they have to be on a ventilator because they have COVID,
Right.
Like what?
Right. One of my best friends developed severe PTSD working in an ICU back in May. But hey, she's gonna get to be Time Person of the Year, maybe. So that'll make it. Yeah.
Yeah, no. That'll get rid of like post-traumatic stress disorder. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah. No. Everything. I mean, I think that's the way that it's going to go. That's the way that the public poll showed that was the option, and that's the one that sort of most sort of wraps up this year. I think, which is the thing that I think has been lost on it. People don't realize that it was never supposed to be sort of like who was the best this year, but who was the most important figure of the year.
Yeah,
and that sort of. It lost. I did a little research. It lost its way sort of in '79 when they said that Times Person of the Year, or I think it was still Man of the Year at that time. But it was Ayatollah Khomeini, and people got very upset with them for saying Ayatollah Khomeini was the Person of the Year. So they sort of started to play it a little bit lighter about who they were choosing. Obviously, in 2001. In 2001, they went with Rudy Giuliani, which is very funny.
I know. If only we had 2020 vision in 2001. The man where just a random line of sludge ran down their face was Times Person of the Year.
Yeah, no. It was Rudy Giuliani, but a lot of people were like, well, it probably should be Bin Laden. I mean, that's the person who has most influenced the year. Here are some of the other dumb ones in the past that I was able to find. 1950 was American Fighting Men, which was like the Korean War? Who cares?
Yeah.
That's
some jingoism.
U.S. scientists.
Vague.
1966 was The Inheritor. Apparently, a lot of people there was a lot of inheritances coming in 1966.
Wait, just people who inherited shit? What?
Yeah. I guess because the baby boom was starting to reach age, and I guess their parents and grandparents were dying, so that was sort of the start of their accumulation of capital.
Okay.
But Middle America in '69. American Women got it in '75. So.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Win for feminism. American Women are Person of the Year. Great.
Yeah. I don't know which one is more sort of like backhanded in retrospect in terms of how little has been accomplished since then. American Women in '75 or The Endangered Earth in '88.
Oh my God. Time's fucking stupid.
Well, but it's one of those things that it's like, okay, so like you mean before I was born, people understood the problems we were facing and
did nothing. Yeah. Yep.
And then, of course, we'll just cut to everybody's favorite in 2006 when you were the Time Person of the Year.
Yeah, because there were selfies, right? That was the year of selfies.
I think it was because YouTube was coming along.
Yeah.
But it had like the reflective cover, which is when we found out that America cannot pass the mirror test.
God.
All right. Well, let's cut to we got a little something else. A special showing us something.
Second break.
Well, hold on now. No, I don't like wearing the mask any more than the rest of you. Don't you think I want to bring my family out, go to the malt shop, and take them to the Nickelodeon? Of course I do. But this is bigger than me. Well, this is bigger than any of us. Joe, you want to go down to the bar, but when you go down to the bar, you'll get Tom the bartender sick. And then Tom brings it home to Agnes, and then Agnes brings it to the Rosary Club, and before you know it, old Mrs. Tibbins is on a respirator, and we can't do anything for her. I mean, why you gotta go out so bad, huh? What, so the governor can say everything's good? Because people are going out again? Get himself a smiling picture in the newspaper, even though he didn't do anything? You want to drop more dollars at the pool hall? Buy him a few more suds, enough to buy Mr. Brown a fancy new car? Is that what you want? I mean, we just gotta, until the vaccine, we gotta come up with some other things to do. Frank, you've been saying for years now that you want to learn guitar, right? What, you think you're gonna be able to learn it if you're going out and you're not socially distanced? And you kids, you're getting married next year, right? Well, you got a plan for that? We'll stay inside. You think Grandma and Grandpa will be able to dance at the wedding if we don't stay inside, keep them safe? I'm not asking anybody to be a hermit here. I just don't want anybody getting sick because somebody else decided that you weren't worth keeping healthy. I don't know, maybe I'm just a wet blanket. But when you go out and you spend the few crummy dollars that you've got, and they tell you that you're doing it to help the economy, and, well, we'll see how much they're going to help you once your doctor bills come. That's all I...
All right, what a great message. Oh my God, from the ghost of Frank Cappa. All right, so last thing we have for today, we had a lot of fun today. The last thing we have is a few closing remarks from Zach.
Thank you. If I could take one thing from Warren Buffett, besides his billions of dollars in assets, which I do plan on taking, it would be his useful quote, "It's only when the tide goes out that you see who was swimming naked." And in 2020, that tidal shift was a pandemic, and the United States has spent about 9 months now showing its bare, wrinkly ass that many suspected might be under those waves. This has been an awfully hard pill to swallow for those with a vested interest in the continuation of the U.S. And that's why they're going to dig down and reform this country so that it can live up to the lofty goals that it pretends to be. I'm just kidding. They're going to blame China. So since Kendra opened with India, I'm going to close with China, a country that you've probably noticed showing up in the news more recently, even before this year. But right now it's front and center and it's getting a lot of attention. Sometimes it's Trump saying a racist joke about the origins of the coronavirus. Other times it's Joe Biden's pandemic response, which includes being tough on China in the opening pages. As if it's somehow China's fault that we've rendered ourselves incompetent to handle a pandemic, or that there's something sneaky or sinister about the fact that China has competently handled the spread of a deadly virus. But overall, 2020 hasn't spurred a new demonization of China as much as it accelerated an existing one. Because there was going to be this plan the whole time. In a country as incompetent and partisan as the United States, those who wish to keep this behemoth on the tracks really only had one option, and that's bringing back the Cold War, baby. Like an aging rock and roll band, they knew the new stuff is shit, and when they want to win the crowd back, they gotta play the hits. There was certainly an attempt to do this with Russia in the last decade, but that one mostly failed because it became developed on partisan lines, and there's no real ideological rift between the US and Russia, and most crucially, Russians are mostly white people. But China, there's enough bipartisan support for both racism and capitalism that this one might work. And you're going to hear a lot about why China is bad, and you're supposed to take it on face value that they're just a bad country of bad people. And every once in a while, you're going to hear something like, China's developing a social credit score. And you're like, oh, that's bad. But then you're like, wait a second, that's a credit score. Or that China is like this major pollutant of the world. But then you realize that the US pollutes significantly more per person. And that's before you consider how our unbridled culture of consumption is so reliant on Chinese manufacturing. And you'll hear about how protesters against China in Hong Kong are heroes. But the people who say that, more often than not, would never say such a thing about protesters in somewhere like Minneapolis or Louisville. There's an obvious attempt to make you believe that China is your enemy, even though they've done nothing to you. China is not evicting you. They're not stealing from your paycheck. They're not racking up your medical bills. And that's exactly the point. If you think China is your enemy, you won't pay attention to the homegrown screwing you're getting. So how do you fight against this new Cold War? It's pretty easy, actually, because China's a superpower. It's not Venezuela or Cuba who you need to show actual solidarity with them as victims of U.S. imperialism. It's not even Iran, where you have to stand against an actual war that might happen. It's just a Cold War being birthed. And just as this Cold War is being birthed, you can very simply, whenever you're told you need to be afraid of or stand against China, just say no. And maybe you need something more to say. So in that case, I suggest fuck off. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Zach. That is our show tonight. Stay tuned for Quarantine Action Wrestling, and we'll see you next week here at Left Night.